Okay. As I was saying, I use a spring height of 10 inches, the opening width of 7 feet, which is what the window measures. But now that I'm in here, I want to change these because these things would go in at, that would be the width of a brick, and a brick is 7 5/8, 43/64. Oh, yeah, I said 2.67. That looks more like brick. Now I just need to move this and get it lined back up. I don't know what happened with that. That was kind of weird. Hmm. Anyway, okay, I'll fix that later. Okay, so on the rest of this elevation view, we can use this brick arch up here over this window. Yes. Okay. And then for the stone, on the stone wall, you can just do a simple extrusion for your arch. You can copy the key over there also. And the sill, I did an extrusion on the sill here, same thing. Just sketched me out a rectangle. I made it 1 inch thick, just like my brick sills, and I applied a granite cut polished material. All that does is makes it kind of clear white in this view. If we go shaded, it becomes a gray like the rest of the stone stuff. I don't even remember what it looked like in realistic. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like granite. For these, let me back up to them. I tried a couple of different. I couldn't get the brick material to actually work. So for here, I chose this aluminum Anderson painted red rock material and applied it to it. It looks kind of like brick, darker reddish, brownish color. It's not perfect, but in shaded mode, it looks fine. Or as I've been saying, it looks real good from Smyrna. Okay, so you can just do simple extrusions for that. Same way with the wood panel on the inside of these two windows. Just a simple extrusion, I don't know, a quarter of an inch thick, and then a half inch thick on the actual arch that goes over the top of this one. Okay, and it's not real time consuming to do these. I want you to do at least one rectangular window and at least one arched window. The more you do, the better your project's going to look. Okay, but do at least one of each type window. Okay, and then I'll come back with another video on how we're going to set up our elevation drawings. Well, I just did 3 videos without the microphone turned on. So I'm having to go back and redo those again. Okay, picking up with our front elevation. You're going to use, where's my mouse? Okay, use this roof slope annotation that I've given you in the download, same one we used last semester. To do those, place those and click on them, edit those. You can mirror them, left to right. That's fine. Copy them, move them around. Okay, you may or may not have to edit your clapboard siding material type. Just depends on how the model was. I don't know. Okay, so you go into it, you get there several ways, but for the foreground, we want to make that a 6-inch parallel. Background, none. Okay, cut pattern diagonal down. Okay, and so that will be our clapboard siding. And so that should take care of that stuff in all of your views. Now for the foundation lines, the best way I found to deal with those is through visibility and graphics. Oh, I'm already into a, I've already set my Let me back out of that. Okay. So visibility and graphics, and scroll down to structural foundations and do an override here and use the hidden 3/8 inch dash and go OK on that. Patterns, that should change that to no overrides. Okay. All right. And so that takes care of that. Now for the excuse me, for the concrete walls, if you've got a hatch pattern showing up on the surface of the concrete walls, just go back into the material type. And it may be easiest to do it. Well, you can probably do it here, but it's concrete cast in place, gray, and I changed it to foreground pattern none if there is a hatch pattern showing up there. Okay, because we don't want it to show up. Okay, cancel that. Okay, the gable vents. I'm giving you two of them to place. There's not really a dimension to put them, but other than they're centered over the windows and kind of bump them up, into the gable, something that looks good. These are one that I downloaded from Revit City, but I edited it so that it would actually cut through the wall, and I went ahead and made it the size we want, 12 by 24. But now that I've got it in here, I've noticed that one of my louvers sticks up too far. Such is the life. Okay. Anyway, place those. There's two different types. One no trim, which goes here, and then you'll do a brick reveal around it. One with trim goes over here in the stone wall. All right. Now we want to draw our finished grade line. Excuse me. This is just a detail line, but choose the wide line style. Okay. And yeah, I've got line weights turned on so you can see the difference in it there. And it's just kind of a visual. Yeah. Okay. What looks close to like what's in the on the paper drawings. Okay. Vertical dimensions. The way I dealt with these is while my levels were turned on, I drew little short detail lines. I don't know, they're about a foot long. But I drew a line at each of these levels that I needed. Well, that you can dimension the footing, but like these two up here for the roof and this one for the second floor. I drew those lines and then I dimensioned to those lines because when we turn our levels off, because we don't want to see the levels. We got like a gazillion of them, so it's easier just to turn them all off. And then I pull a dimension to that. And then to add this text, you select the text box and come down here in a text field below, and you'll type in what you need. Okay, foundation height, panel height. That one will have panel height there. Okay. The brick wall over here. This one was it was interesting to build. The wall itself wasn't hard, but getting the sweep was kind of tough for some people. And so our dimensions are not really working because you can't dimension to the top edge of the sweep. So I went to one of the brick lines, and the value is actually not what's showing up there. It's actually greater than the 5 feet. So I'm doing a text override, which is something you almost never ever want to do. It's best to change your model. In this case, and we can't dimension to the top of the sweep anyway with what we're doing. So I'm doing a text override to make it 5 feet, and it has to start with some kind of alpha character instead of a numeral. If you start it with a numeral, it says change your model, so I put an asterisk in there for those two. Same thing on my radius. Excuse me. I did the replacement with it because if we remember, Our actual sweep had a radius of 6 feet. So our dimensions coming out a little different. So fix that. The overhang up here, dimension that, same thing, edit it and add a suffix right there, overhang typical. Okay. And then when we go get all of those things, all those notes and dimensions and things, any dimensions you got that are not critical, like if we had a dimension over here on the window or you've got some just miscellaneous dimensions in here, go ahead and hide them in your view so that they're not showing up. And if your base point and survey point is showing up, that little thing right there, the triangle and the circle, you just have to select that and right click and hide it. Hide those things in your elevation view. Okay, so we're going to drop it into our drawing sheet, create a new sheet, and drop it in here and kind of get it up in the upper left corner as close as you can. You'll have to play with your, excuse me, your title bar or your title there for the view. Kind of edit it, shorten it, and kind of move it over a little bit. And then we'll work on our west elevation. Okay, west elevation. Same thing, roof slopes. If your views are not showing up, especially this one, when I went into it first time, it didn't show up. And so you go, I went to like basement floor because we're not putting that on a drawing, and turned on my crop region, clicked here, turn on crop region, and I drug it out till I picked up the elevation marker. And click on the triangle, and it shows you the extents of your view, where it starts and where it ends. So you can, when I first went into it, mine was like way over here. So nothing showed up. So drag it over into here so that we're picking up this part of the building, but we're going to hide the footings for this wall. And then we come back to this elevation. And one thing that is showing up is the footings for the steel columns. So those, you want to select those and hide them in this particular view. So you can, there's like 3 of them in each one. So you just drag your box around them and hide those. Let's see. In the roof slope tool, in these two up, this one and the one right over here, I placed it, edited it, got it right. And then I did a masking region inside of it to hide the clapboard siding. Okay, so that makes that kind of stand out a little more, makes it a little bit more visible. And then draw your grade line across here, bottom of the garage door there, you know, down this way here. And then I actually had to draw my grade slope indicator because the roof slope thing won't work for that. So I just drew the 3 lines and put some text in there for that. That takes care of that. And then the one thing that's not on this particular sheet in our drawings that we need to include is this dimension for the rake projection. Okay, so we want to put that in. And then these dimensions, same way as with the other, with the front view, I drew in some little short lines as I needed them for the 3 different levels, and then dimension to those little short lines, and did some, you know, suffixes and text below. All right, and then we pop it. Oh, excuse me, pop it onto our sheet and just kind of finagle these things around. They will both fit, so just make sure that they're fitting in there, not touching the title block or not touching the border, that your text is inside. This was just a text box. I just did text and then drew a couple lines around it to get my total square feet things in. Okay, and I will put a Word document up or a PDF up of how the of what we're going to use for our view template settings. and you apply that. Give titles on your sheet. Front elevation for the south view. West side would be left side elevation. And man, I think that pretty well covers it. If you've got questions, shoot me an email. Come by and see me.